They left, and the silence feels endless, doesn't it? You keep checking your phone, not for a message, but for a sign that maybe they still care. You replay every memory, every moment, every laugh that once felt like forever. But now forever has an echo, and that echo keeps asking, what if they never come back? Why does the human mind do this? Why does absence feel heavier than presence? Why can one person occupy every corner of your thoughts, even when they're long gone? You tell yourself you've moved on, but one random song, one familiar scent, and your heart betrays you again. It's like grief without a funeral, a ghost that still breathes in your memories. And you wonder, do they miss me too? Or were you just another chapter they close without looking back? Here's the truth. Every person who leaves doesn't just walk away. They take a version of you with them. The version that smiled when they smiled. The version that believed love could never end. But what if I told you that version of you isn't lost? It's waiting to be reclaimed. You see, pain has a strange purpose. It doesn't come to break you. It comes to reveal what's left when everything else is gone. And right now, that's where you are, standing at the edge of who you were and who you're about to become. But let me ask you something. What if this isn't the end of your story? What if this silence is the teacher you've been avoiding? What if the person you're missing was never meant to return? Because you were meant to return to yourself. Pause for a second. Take a breath. Feel that ache in your chest, the one you've been running from. That ache is proof that you can still feel, and anything that still feels can still heal. So before you scroll away, before you drown in another wave of what-ifs, stay here. Because in the next few minutes, you'll see exactly why this pain isn't punishment. It's transformation. You'll understand why letting go isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And most importantly, you'll learn how to stop waiting for their return and start coming home to your own peace. So let me ask you one last question, and let it sit deep in your soul. If they never come back, would you still choose to love your life? Because that question is where healing begins. You ever notice how the mind keeps looping back to what's gone? You wake up, and the first thought isn't peace, it's absence. You go through your day pretending you're fine, but deep down you're still negotiating with the past. Maybe if I had done this, maybe if I hadn't said that. But have you ever asked yourself why the brain does this? Why it replays what it can't rewind? It's because your mind is trying to finish a story that ended without closure. It's wired to seek completion, to fix what's broken, to restore what's lost. But heartbreak? Heartbreak doesn't follow logic. It's a collision between memory and reality, between what you wanted and what is. And when logic fails, emotion takes over. That's why silence hurts more than words. That's why you keep checking your phone, not for messages, but for proof that you still matter to someone who's gone. But here's the paradox no one talks about. The more you search for answers out there, the further you drift from peace in here. Because closure isn't something someone gives you. It's something you create by accepting that you may never understand why. And I know that sounds unfair. You gave your love, your effort, your loyalty, and they walked away without explanation. You keep asking, how could they forget me so easily? But what if it's not about forgetting? What if they didn't forget you? They just kept moving while you stayed standing still, waiting for the story to make sense. It's a brutal truth, but one the Stoics understood better than anyone. They didn't chase what left, they studied what remained. Because when something or someone exits your life, it reveals what you attached your peace to. And most people don't realize they were never in love with the person. They were in love with the feeling that person gave them. So let me ask you, were you in love with them or with the way they made you feel about yourself? Were you in love with their soul or the idea that you were finally enough when you were with them? See, this is where heartbreak becomes a mirror. It forces you to face yourself, stripped of validation, stripped of comfort, stripped of illusion. It's like the universe saying, now, let's see who you are without them. And maybe that's the point. Maybe you had to lose them to find the parts of you that only pain could awaken. Because pain is the doorway through which the real you walks in, the quiet, grounded version who doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't crumble when love leaves. So instead of asking, why did they go? Ask, what am I meant to learn now that they're gone? Because when you shift from victim to observer, you begin to see heartbreak not as cruelty, but as course correction. And still, I know you're wondering, but what if they come back? If they do, will you be ready, or will you still be the version that lost yourself trying to keep them? Because healing isn't about waiting for their return. It's about preparing for your own. Maybe you've been so focused on their absence that you forgot about your presence. Maybe your silence isn't punishment. Maybe it's an invitation to rebuild, to rediscover, to remember that your worth didn't vanish when they left. So before we move further, ask yourself honestly, do you want them back, or do you just want the pain to stop? Because there's a difference. And when you understand that difference, everything begins to change. You tell yourself you're fine. You go out. You laugh. You post pictures, hoping they'll see what they lost. But when the night gets quiet and the noise fades, it's still there, that empty feeling, that quiet whisper. What if they never think of me again? You scroll through memories like they're open wounds. You see their face with someone new, and your stomach tightens. Your mind says, I should be over this. But your heart replies, then why does it still hurt? It's because your brain doesn't grieve like your heart does. Your heart grieves a person. Your brain grieves a pattern. You miss the texts, the calls, the habits, the rhythm of us. You miss having someone to tell good news to, someone to exist for. And that's the cruel part. When they left, they didn't just leave you. They took away the version of your life that existed with them in it. Now, every place feels hollow. Every song carries their ghost. It's like you're living in a world that remembers what your soul is trying to forget. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You replay old conversations. You imagine what you could have said differently. You check if they've seen your story. You read, last seen recently, like it's scripture. And deep down, you know none of it will change anything. But you do it anyway. Why? Because you're addicted, not to them, but to hope. Hope is the most beautiful and the most dangerous drug the heart can taste. It tells you maybe one day they'll realize. Maybe they'll miss you. Maybe they'll wake up and remember what you had. But let me ask you, how many maybes have stolen your peace? How many nights have you traded for a fantasy that never came true? Here's the harsh truth. The person you're waiting for no longer exists. Not because they changed, but because time changed both of you. They're not the same person you loved, and you're not the same person who loved them. You're both ghosts in each other's stories, haunting memories that no longer fit the present. Yet still you cling, because letting go feels like betrayal. Because moving on feels like admitting it's truly over. But what if letting go isn't betrayal? It's self-respect. What if you mistake holding on for loyalty when it's really self-abandonment? Let's be honest. You don't want them back. You want the feeling you had when they loved you. The feeling of being seen, chosen, wanted. But here's the psychological trap. When you attach your worth to someone else's attention, their absence feels like erasure. That's why heartbreak hurts so deeply. Because it doesn't just take love, it takes identity. You start doubting your value. You replay your flaws. You start believing maybe you weren't enough. But tell me, who gets to decide your worth? Someone who left, or the one who survived being left? You see, this is a conflict every soul faces. The war between ego and truth. The ego says, I need them to choose me. But truth says, I need to choose peace. And that's where healing begins, not when they come back, but when you stop auditioning for a role you already outgrew. Look at it this way. If someone walks away from you, they're showing you where their journey ends and where yours begins. You don't chase someone walking out of your destiny. You learn to trust that what's meant for you never leaves confused. Still, I know the question lingers, but what if they realize their mistake? If they do, it won't be because you begged or waited. It'll be because your silence became louder than your words, because you turned your pain into power, because you stopped orbiting their memory and started becoming your own sun. The Stoics called this emotional discipline. Not coldness, but clarity. The ability to feel without being consumed, to love without losing yourself, to mourn without forgetting that life continues. So as you sit there wondering if they'll ever return, let me ask you something harder. What if this heartbreak isn't happening to you, but for you? What if this pain is simply your soul saying, it's time to evolve? Because when the heart breaks, the soul expands. And what feels like the end of love might just be the beginning of truth. What if I told you that everything you've been feeling, the panic, the longing, the restless nights, isn't a curse but a signal that you've been holding on to the wrong thing. You've been searching for them outside yourself, looking for validation, for proof that you mattered, for the reassurance that love is eternal. But what if the only thing eternal is what lives inside you? What if their return doesn't matter? Because your return to yourself matters far more. Think about it. Every moment you spent replaying their absence, you lost precious energy you could have used to build, create, strengthen, and grow. Every would have kept you tethered to someone who may never exist in your life again. And yet, here's a revelation. The same pain that kept you chained also has the power to free you. Ask yourself, do you feel that tension in your chest right now? That tightness, that ache, that constant pull? That's not weakness. That's your heart telling you that you are alive, that you are capable of deep feeling, that you are capable of transformation. Here's what most people never realize. Heartbreak is a mirror, not a punishment. It shows you exactly what you were mistaking for love. It exposes the patterns that kept you dependent, needy, and searching for external approval. And it shines a light on the areas of yourself that have been neglected. Your independence, your identity, your power. So ask yourself another question. What if this ending wasn't theirs to dictate, but yours to understand? What if their leaving is not a theft, but an invitation? An invitation to reclaim the self you allowed to fade while loving someone else? And here's the most powerful revelation of all. The person who left doesn't determine your worth. Your value is not measured by their presence, by their attention, or by their approval. It's measured by how you respond to absence, by how you hold yourself when no one is watching, and by how you transform longing into mastery. Imagine for a moment, what would happen if you stopped waiting for them to return? What if you stopped replaying the past, stopped chasing validation, stopped letting absence define you? Wouldn't that be freedom? And what if that freedom makes you more magnetic, more resilient, more alive than you've ever been? The Stoics knew this truth centuries ago. External events, the comings and goings of others, do not control the soul unless we allow them to. You cannot dictate someone else's choices, but you can dictate your response. You cannot bring back what is gone, but you can bring forward the best version of yourself. Ask yourself, do you want to live tethered to what was? Or do you want to rise to what can be? Do you want to be haunted by absence or empowered by presence? Your presence? This revelation isn't abstract. It's immediate. It's happening now, in this moment, as you sit here listening. Because the one thing that never leaves, never betrays, never fades is you, your courage, your clarity, your capacity to feel, endure, and transform. So take another breath. Feel the weight of longing in your chest. Then ask yourself, if they never come back, would I crumble or would I rise? And here's the key, the truth that changes everything. Rising isn't about forgetting them. It isn't about shutting your heart down. It's about seeing clearly, about realizing that the end of one chapter is the doorway to a new one. It's about transforming absence into strength, heartbreak into insight, and longing into self-mastery. So here's your choice right now as you sit with this revelation. Will you continue to orbit the memory of someone who left? Or will you step into the gravity of your own power? Because the moment you do, the moment you truly accept that they may never return, that's when your life stops being defined by what's missing and starts being defined by what you are willing to create. So now that you see the truth, that they may never return, what do you do with that? Do you let it break you, or do you let it build you? Here's the first lesson. Your peace cannot depend on someone else. Ask yourself, if they never came back, would your life stop? Would your happiness vanish? The answer, deep down, is no. Peace, fulfillment, and strength exist inside you. Not in messages, not in calls, not in maybe they'll come back. Lesson 2. Attachment is the root of suffering. Every time you cling to what's gone, you invite more pain. Every time you hope for what's out of your control, you weaken your mind, your heart, and your power. So stop clinging, not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself more. Lesson 3. Absence is the ultimate teacher. Think about it. When someone leaves, you are forced to face what you ignored. Your habits, your self-esteem, your identity, all laid bare. And this is a gift most people never see, because they're too busy begging, chasing, or hoping. But not you. You're learning the hard way, and that learning will last forever. Lesson 4. You cannot control others, only yourself. Ask yourself, have you ever truly gained peace by trying to change someone else's feelings? Of course not. The Stoics call this the dichotomy of control. Focus on what you can change, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and release what you cannot, their choices, their absence, their return. And here's the hardest, most powerful lesson. Your heart will heal when you stop waiting for someone else to complete it. Ask yourself, have you been living like half a person, waiting for them to fill the missing part? What if the missing part was never them, but you refuse and stand whole on your own? This is the moment where heartbreak becomes opportunity, where pain becomes clarity, where loss becomes a blueprint for strength. Let me ask you this. Do you want to be remembered for how desperately you chased someone who left, or for how powerfully you rose when they were gone? Every step you take now, every day you move forward, every time you resist checking their profile, every moment you focus on yourself instead of them is a victory, a small but undeniable proof that you are mastering your mind, your heart, your life. And the final lesson, letting go isn't forgetting, it's honoring yourself. You remember them, you appreciate what they gave you, but you no longer live in their shadow. You step into the sun of your own life. You cultivate resilience, self-respect, and a heart that can love freely, without dependence, without fear, without surrender. So here's the question I leave you with. If they never come back, will you let that define you, or will you define yourself by what you do with the space they left behind? Because that space is yours. It's your blank canvas. And the masterpiece of your life starts the moment you decide to paint it for yourself, not for someone who walked away. And remember, every day you apply this lesson, every moment you embrace your independence, every thought you reclaim from longing, you're building a version of yourself that no one can take away. So how do you take all of this, the heartbreak, the longing, the sleepless nights, and turn it into something that serves you? How do you transform absence into power, loss into clarity, and longing into self-mastery? Step 1, reclaim your focus. Ask yourself, where is your attention going? Is it on what's gone, on what they might do, on what you can't control? Or is it on the things that grow your life, your mind, your body, your craft, your passions? Every minute you spend obsessing over someone who left is a minute stolen from your own growth. Refocus your energy. Build yourself. Become someone no absence can shake. Step 2, anchor yourself in presence. Stop living in memories. Stop dreaming of their return. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the air in your lungs. This moment, here, now, is the only reality you have power over. Every breath, every step, every choice in this present moment strengthens a version of yourself who doesn't need anyone else to feel whole. Step 3, set emotional boundaries. Ask yourself, do you want to be haunted by their memory or guided by it? Don't let thoughts of them control your day. Don't let what's absent dictate your emotions. Every time you catch yourself spiraling, pause. Remind yourself, I am not defined by them. I am not waiting for them to return. I am building my life, my peace, my strength. Step 4, transform longing into creation. Take that energy, the ache in your chest, the urge to call, the desire to be noticed, and redirect it. Right? Train, learn, create, build. Every step you take toward your own purpose fills a void they left. And here's the subtle, beautiful truth. The more whole you become, the more magnetic your presence. Not for them, not for anyone else, for yourself. Step 5, practice radical acceptance. Ask yourself, can I truly accept what has happened without resisting, without wishing, begging, or hoping for a different outcome? This doesn't mean you stop feeling. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you acknowledge reality as it is, not as you want it to be. Because only when you accept the truth can you act wisely and live freely. And now, the final, most important step. Look inward for your fulfillment. Ask yourself, if they never return, will my life feel empty, or will I have built something they can never take away? The answer lies within you. Your heart is not fragile. It's resilient. Your mind is not lost. It's capable of clarity. Your life is not dependent. It is yours to shape. So here's the question I leave with you, and I want you to hold it close. If they never come back, will you crumble into what was lost, or will you rise into what you've always been capable of becoming? Because the choice isn't theirs. It's not even fate's. It's yours. And when you choose yourself over absence, when you choose growth over longing, when you choose clarity over chaos, something extraordinary happens. You stop waiting for them. You stop chasing what's gone. You start living a life they could never touch, a life no absence can diminish. So take one last deep breath. Feel the weight in your chest. Feel the ache, then release it. You don't need them to complete you. You don't need their return to define you. You don't need anything outside yourself to awaken your strength, your clarity, your peace. The end of what you thought was love is not the end of your life. It is the beginning of your freedom, the beginning of your self-respect, the beginning of a version of you that stands unshaken, whole, and unbreakable, even in absence. So ask yourself one final time, if they never come back, will you still choose yourself? Will you still rise? Will you still live fully, freely, and unshakably? Because that is the true victory. And that, my friend, is where your power has always been waiting.